Hello guys and welcome back to Aquatic Life and Theme Parks. In today's video we are going to be starting a new project for a very special fish. Now we are going to be going off of the base of a Mekong River, which is a Southeast Asian water basin in Southeast Asia, of course, and we are going to be doing it for a better fish. Now I've always wanted to keep one of these fish for ever since I started the hobby years ago, back in 2022, when I did buy my first fish, which was obviously the White Cloud Mountain Minnows. And then obviously I'm now going to be using their tank, the White Cloud Mountain Minnow tank that sits right behind me, pretty much, and making it into the Mekong River. It's going to be scaped with a bunch of rock, with wood, it's really going to look really good, and it's all going to be for one male betta, which I've always wanted to keep. So let's start off with my first job, which is draining the tank down. So we are now in front of the 46 litre aquarium, the aquarium we are going to be using to scape. Now my first little task to do is pretty much what I'm planning to do is move the filter to the back of the aquarium where that black board is there. As you can see, I don't know how well you can see, I'll give you a bit of an up close. But that black board there, I'm going to be moving the filter behind that in the little section over there. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because there's a little hole where the filter on the previous tank used to be. That filter got really manky and old and I had to throw it away. So fish were able to swim down there, and it happened with one of my neon tetras. It managed to get itself down there, so I'm just going to be trying to prevent that by obviously moving the filter into that little back section of the aquarium, seeing how much flow comes out, and if not, I have a spray bar which I'll hopefully be able to feed through the hole and connect it to the filter at the back. So I'm going to go do that, and you'll be joining me here after I do that. So I'm back from just trying to experiment with the filter and seeing if it will stick into that hole. Sadly it doesn't fit. It does fit down the back, but the spray bar doesn't want to go into that little section of the hole. It's too big, and also secondly the filter starts making a funny noise. It's like a washing machine sound again. So obviously I'm gonna have to just find a little place in the corner of the tank for the aquarium and heater and just scape to make it sort of out of view. But next job is to get all of the decor and sort of the rock and the fake plant in there out, and then draining it all the way down. So on this time lapse you're going to be seeing me lifting the rock out and then draining the aquarium down. So as you can see now, I have drained the tank down to about here, and I'm now just going to be using this sponge that I use on my Amazon tank just to scrape the sides down. Obviously you can see, I don't know how well the camera picks up, see lots of white little poo stains, also some rubber stains. So I'm just going to use this rest of the water and then scrub it down. So in this time lapse you are going to be seeing me scrub this aquarium down in the inside. So you've just seen me there scrape the glass all the way down, front and sides, and obviously the back. Now my next job is to get all of this substrate out and put it in a bucket, and then obviously dispose it in a little mini bag, where then it will be thrown out and disposed and be taken wherever gravel and sort of aquarium substrates are taken to either be destroyed or burnt, or maybe even just reused. But you never know. But I'm now just going to be scooping out all of this substrate using this very clever tool, the metal spoon, and literally just going back and forth like soup and just taking the substrate draining the substrate and putting it in the water and then draining it all the way down. So in this time lapse you are going to be seeing me do that. So after getting all of the substrate out with that handy metal spoon, I did start using that, obviously, as you see in that time lapse. So then after that time lapse, I did get my hand in there and scoop the gravel. If I used that metal spoon anymore, I would have probably been in there for a good hour or maybe even 2. But now the filter and the heater is in. I'm going to be using the same exact filter and heater that I used to house the temporary home for my neon tetras and obviously all the fish and life that is in the Amazon tank right now. So I'm just going to be using that. I had to replace the carbon. Now there's a carb in that filter sponge. When I cleaned it out, there is carbon. A little bit of carbon did come out when I was cleaning it. So I've just gone and bought some new carbon. It's just from Fluval and it's just normal carbon, and you replace it once a month. And carbon pretty much takes out any tannins in the water. Obviously, say if I wanted to take tannins out of the Amazon tank, I would be able to put carbon into my filter and it would pretty much make that water crystal clear. But I like the yellowy tinge. It does look quite realistic and natural. So let's start scaping this aquarium. So let's start off with the substrate layer of the aquarium. So I am going to be using this Fish Keeper aquarium substrate. Now it's a really nice colour. It's sort of like a browny colour. I don't know how well you can see that, but it's sort of a browny colour and it really does look like a river. It does look a little bit Amazonian, but it also does look more Mekong. I couldn't find the Mekong River underwater, so I am just going off of creativity and sort of how I think it would look underwater. And then I'm also going to be adding some of this decorative gravel. It's just some stones. There's some whites, there's some greys, there's some browns, there's some silvers in there, and it's really just going to look good. And what I'm going to be using with the decorative gravel is I am going to be pretty much putting in the rocks that I've got. I'm going to be using a bit of one rock that I didn't use in my Amazon Rescape aquarium, and a bit of spider wood that I'm going to be breaking off into pieces and pretty much making it look like twigs have been pushed down the river. And I'm also going to be using, I think it's called wooden stone rock. Now I'm going to double check that. So when I do use the rocks, I will let you know. But I think it is called wood stone rock, and it's just really nice. They're just pretty much being washed and cleaned. I've just soaked them a little bit in some water in a bucket. So my next job now is to clean the substrate. I've got 2 of the main substrate layer, 2 bags of that. That should be enough to fill that aquarium to a good inch or so of the aquarium. I might not have to use that. I'm going to be putting 1 bag in, see how it looks, and then if I do need the other bag, or even half of another bag, I will put that in. And the decorative gravel, I'm not going to be using all of this. I'm just going to use maybe a cup, maybe a handful, and then I can use it in other scapes that I do, maybe when other tanks come in. Obviously not saying that they will be, but when other tanks do start running down, say if the Amazon tanks starts going down, that will only be when the fish die. I will be using it there, say if I'm doing something involving sort of decorative gravel. And decorative gravel really does add to the sort of natural theme of it. It really does make it look better at points. You can fill in gaps that you don't want to see. Say if there's a rock that's a bit of a hole, you can fill in the gaps so it doesn't look so pristine, or what, I don't know what the word it is, but sort of non-natural, if you would like to say. I don't really know the word, but non-natural, it just helps it look way more natural. So I will see you after washing the aquarium substrate off. So there we go, that substrate layer is in now. I did thoroughly wash it before I put it in, and obviously you must do that really with any sort of substrate you're using, because there's little dust particles that are caught in the substrate when packaged. It can pretty much leach in your tank and make your water really, really cloudy. Obviously with that carbon there though, it will make it crystal clear in probably a few days time, but just to be on the safe side, I thoroughly washed it. I've only brought 2 bags. It did not take 2 bags. It took 3 full half bags of fish keeper substrate into this tank. We want to make it as thick of a substrate layer as we can so those plants can really dig their roots down. It's about the same height as the Amazon tank next to me, maybe just a little bit bigger, but you obviously want to make sure that it's got enough substrate for the plants to really root themselves in and grow and flourish really nicely. So it's now time for my favourite part of any sort of tank build. It is putting in the decorations and the overall hardscape. I'm going to be using wood, I'm going to be using bits of twig, I'm going to be using rocks, and it's really going to look really nice. So in this time lapse you are going to be seeing me place all the wood and rocks into this tank. So there we have it, the hardscape is in and it is looking really, really well done. Now I am just going to be picking out a few key points, pretty much explaining why I went with this scape. So the reason why I went with this scape is obviously it's going to look like a river, and I think this really does look like a river. That far bit of wood closest to the filter makes it look like the river is continuing onwards downstream, and those bits of wood overlapping the rocks look really, really well. It looks like they're being battered by the current of the river on top of each other. But I really did enjoy this scape, and I hope the better fish, or the Samarese fighting fish, would enjoy this. Obviously, I don't know how it's going to use it. Obviously, fighting fish in general, they're very solitary animals. They don't really mix with other fish, apart from a female. If you put 2 males together, it would likely either be called an injured, or even worse, death. So now I'm just going to be adding this decorative substrate layer. Now I'm only going to be using a handful, a bucket, just to fill the bottom, and it just looks like this. I thought I'd give you a close-up, but it just looks like this. There's a lot of whites, beiges, greys, purples, and all I'm going to be doing is pretty much chucking it onto the rocks, that grey rock in particular, and letting it go wherever it wants. That's really going to give it that riverscape. It's really going to look like the current has pushed it downstream and it's just letting it go wherever it wants. So I'm going to go and wash these, and I'll be back with you in a moment. So after adding in that decorative substrate layer, it's already looking 10 times better than what it did before. As you can see from that time lapse I just filmed, you just let it bounce off the rocks and let it go wherever it wants. It looks really nice. There's some obviously outside, there's some under that little cave section. There's also some in between the wooden rocks, which looks really, really good. So I'm really happy with this scape. So the next thing is obviously plants. Now, I am going to be ordering the plants online from a company called Acre Essential. So, obviously, that is going to be really good. I've heard that if you order it before 4 PM, your delivery gets dispatched pretty much straight away, and it arrives really, really well. So, I'm going to be ordering off of them. I don't really know what plants I'm getting yet, but obviously, I will be letting you know what plants when, obviously, the plants arrive. So, that is the hardscape done. On to the next. So I have now made the first purchase to upgrade the aquarium lights. Now I did used to have a aquarium light on the back. Obviously, if you remember, it was a hang on the back aquarium light, and I didn't really like that. I had that for quite a while, and when I found out really that you could Bluetooth lights to come on at a particular time when you want them, I was really into that. So I have bought a Fluval Aqua Sky 12 watts lights, which is going to be able to house the plants that I want to keep, and also obviously light up the aquarium. Now its lighting is really, really well. It really makes the tank shine. There is 2 reasons why I brought this light. It's because I wanted a new light, but not only that, I'm now able to sync both of my Amazon tank and my Better Fish tank to cut their lights to come on at the same time and go off at the same time. Save me switching them off from the switch or switching them off from the, obviously, the actual main light system. I'm able to just put them on a timer where they'll come on at the same time and go off at the same time. So that is the first sort of investment and the first sort of upgrade for this aquarium. So the plants have arrived and we are going to be planting this aquarium up really, really nicely. But first we have got to put in our root tabs or root fertilisers. Now these are NutriCaps and these are from a company. Now these are really good. I've used them in my Amazon tank and the plants are growing really well. They're from a company called Colombo. I hope I'm saying that right. And they are really good. They're dense in nutrients and it just really helps the plants dig down really nicely and get all their roots. So a lot of people, what they do is they'll put their root tabs in and then we'll put the plants right on top of the root tabs. Don't do that. As long as you have sort of a visual map on where you're going to be putting those root tabs, it's completely fine. So I'm going to be putting one in this corner, back corner, this corner, back corner, and possibly one under the rocks. I've got 6 maybe even probably only going to be using 5, and there's 5 in this. So I'll be right back once I do that. So the NutriCaps are in and I have placed them in 3 corners and 1 right down in the middle. I thought I had 5, I only had 4. That should be enough. If I do need more, I can just go to the shop and buy some. So I put 1 in this corner, 1 in this back corner, 1 in this corner here, and 1 just under this rock here. And our first plant is going to be of moss. It's Christmas moss. Now this is a lovely little moss that I'm going to be attaching to the woods and the rock to make it look like the wood and rock have been there for ages, and it really is going to make it look like a river. So once I have separated this and glued it back on, there will be a time lapse of me gluing it onto the wooden rocks. But once that does happen, then we'll be ready to plant our next plant, which is a foreground plant. So that last clip you saw was me putting in the NutriTabs ready for the plants to come in, and the plants did arrive at that time. I did say I'd be filming a quick times lapse, pretty much me putting in the plants and all the glue and pretty much showing you how it all works, but I found it easier to just put them in off camera. Obviously it was no stress of just getting different shots, different angles, but I just thought I'd put them in and then show you in a few weeks time how they came out. Now if you didn't remember what I said last time, I got them off a company called Aqua Essential, and they are an amazing company from Devon, UK, and honestly, I am really happy with the results and how Aqua Essential plants have came out, and I highly recommend to anyone who's starting a planted aquarium and don't want to go to the shop and obviously arriving there and not having the plants you need. This amazing website and online shop for aquarium plants and for any aquatic hobbyists is really well done, and as I said, I highly recommend buying off of these guys. So I'm now going to be going through each individual plant and telling you how they've grown, how they've sort of came out, and honestly I am really happy with the results. So this whole back section of plants here is Limnophilia sissiflora, and it is an amazing wildfire spreading plant. It really makes the background look jungly, and I'm really hoping that my Better Fish uses this background to hide in. But not only that, I found out that they rest on plants, so hopefully they'll be using the Limnophilia to rest. Now as I said, this stuff spreads like wildfire. I started off with about four stems in here, and look how many stems there are now. I've got to say there's probably what, 10 plus, maybe 15 plus stems, and it keeps growing. So this small little batch of plants down here, one didn't come with the plants and in the rock wall themselves. They've actually just grown out, and there's even more being grown back there, there's more down there, and even more back down here. And the good thing about this tank is a 3-way sided tank, so I can look down the side and see the Limnophilia sissiflora new plants and leaves, and I'm really happy with how this plant has came out. So on to the next plant. Now on to the next plant, which is Sturgeon repens. Now Sturgeon repens is a foreground plant that is really nicely small and broad leaved. Now, it looks a bit like Ecuadorus, but it is not. I don't know if it's related to Ecuadorus. I don't know if it comes to the same sort of family. But Sturgeon repens is a really nice foreground plant. Now, I've kind of put them in a bunch. Now, I don't know how well it comes out on camera. I don't know if it comes out blurry. But I put them into a bunch, and you can just tell the growth. Hopefully, if I get a little mini cleanup crew, they'll be crawling in and out of that. I also put a few down here. I did have a few more down here, but I think they derooted, and obviously I'm lucky to save them and put them in this little bunch. So on to the next plant, which is on all the wood and rock. Up next is Christmas moss. Now, Christmas moss is an amazing moss that I have stuck to most of the wood and rocks. I've stuck a few on the dragonstone, one back there, a few on most on the wood, and obviously on this larger stone. It just makes it look a bit more realistic, a bit more natural. Say if you're walking down a river, you won't just see a bunch of stones not covered in anything. Some rivers and some streams will have mosses growing all over them, and I really wanted that effect, and that effect has came really nicely. Now, it started to look off a little bit dull, and I was starting to be a bit worried, but it has just bounced back, and all these sort of brown leaves, if you can see them, this one here was especially brown, and now it's just bounced back, and I really like how it's making it look very, very natural. And obviously, as you can see, this bit of like stick or twig has really got a nice bit of moss on there. But most of the mosses that are growing on here, obviously all the Christmas tree moss is growing really, really nicely. So there we have it, a wide variety of plants that is in this tank to help this tank thrive and to really make it look like the tank I've wanted it to look like. Now, obviously, the next stage of this aquarium is letting it cycle. Now, it has cycled fully, and I'm now waiting on getting the fish. But firstly, I do need to get one more thing before I can add the better fish. Now, honestly, I highly recommend Aqua Essential, and the next job and the next stage is getting a better fish. So I have just gotten back from the shop now with our beautiful better fish. And he is a blue variant. Now, he is absolutely beautiful, and I could not be any happier with him. So I'm now going to be pretty much acclimatising him to his tank and his aquarium, and I'll bring you back here a little bit later on to see him fully coloured up once he's in and everything. But I'm going to leave him now for 60 minutes to 60 to 30 minutes, and then I'm going to be adding water every 5 to 10 minutes in that time, so then the water goes in and acclimatises properly. But I'll bring you back later on, or in a few days' time, when the colour up has really, really blown. But I will bring you back later on to see him fully out and properly, if I can see him. I don't know how this better is going to react, if he's going to be out all the time, or if he's going to be hiding for a few days. So I'll bring you back shortly. So it is now the next day now since you saw that last clip of me acclimatising my beautiful better fish. And I'm so happy with the choice that I made. Now, when choosing male better fish, it's really personal preference on what colours, what patterns you like, how they look, if you want to get a male or female. Now, I chose a blue and red male, and he is just so nice. He swims really elegantly in the water with that long fin, and he has really explored a lot of this tank. He's went at the back, he's went behind the rocks, and he started off behind the rocks and, you know, has shied away, but he's really came out now, and his colours are really bursting. Now, as I said, personal preference, so obviously you have to choose what better you want. You can't keep two males together because it could cause to, obviously, fatality or injury. But I'm really happy with the fish I have chosen, and I think he is a really nice fish. And obviously you can just see right now the elegance that he moves in the water is just amazing, and the colour pattern is just excellent. Now, he has got a lot of character in him. He's sort of kissed the glass a little bit. He missed a bit of its food yesterday that I chucked in. I fed him a little bit of a granular. He's explored some of the plants. He's laid on the plants. He's blown little bubbles in the water, which shows really he's happy all around. Now, if you see him resting, or if you see a better fish laying on sort of a decoration, a plant, on the surface, it's not dead. They do that all the time. They just rest on anything that they can really find. They're not dead. As soon as you walk past the tank, they sort of wake back up again. It's just a sort of relaxing and resting pose that they do, when better fish sort of are new and when better fish are tired. So they'll be resting on leaves, they'll be resting on rocks. You can also buy little better fish beds that are sort of fake artificial plants that you can attach to the side of the aquarium, and they'll rest on that. But he is actually doing it right now. He's just resting on that rock. I don't know how well you can see, but he is just resting on that rock. So I'm now going to be giving a... Hello guys, and welcome back to Aquatic Life and Theme Parks. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you your first ever monthly update on the Mekong River. It's July 2025 and the first month of the Mekong River being setting up. Now, if you are new around here and you haven't seen these monthly updates from the Amazon tank, then I will be explaining what I do on the Amazon tank, and it's completely the same as what I do on the Mekong River tank. Pretty much I'll be talking about the fish's care and health, and obviously if there's any new fish like the Mekong River, it's a brand new tank, I'll be giving you how they've really settled in. Along with that, I'll be giving you what the better fish actually eats. I'll be also talking about the plants and how they're growing along really well, and all the equipment has been working really well. I'll be giving you all of that. And honestly, my overall thoughts of owning this fish and owning this aquarium. So let's start off with the fish's care and health. Now, the fish is a beautiful male betta fish with a dark blue body and a dark blue fin with a few pops of red. His colours have been showing incredibly well. Obviously, I got this fish back in June, and honestly, I'm really happy with the choice I made. When choosing to better fishes, it is hard to choose as you can only choose one male in the tank because they are so aggressive. They will kill other fish and their own kind. So obviously, I was really fussy on what I wanted to pick, but honestly, it was just kind of, I turned the corner in my local fish shop and saw this better fish, and honestly, I fell in love with it from day one, really. The plant's care and health. This Limnophilius isiflora grows like wildfire, and I highly recommend getting it for any aquarium you're making it look like a jungle. Honestly, I think it's a really good plant and probably my favourite aquarium plant in the aquatic hobby. I've got some in my Amazon tank now, making the back look really jungly. The sturgeon repens is looking incredibly well. A foreground plant, and it's just growing up. I've got a little batch here, but not only that, a few pops around here, and it's just going really well. And the Christmas tree moss, well, it's incredible. It really makes it look like that those rocks and wood have been sitting there for ages on end. Now I'm going to be showing you what I actually feed my better fish, as you do need to feed specific food to better fishes. So let's see what I feed my better fish for the last month. So the first food I have been feeding is Akari fibre bites. These are specifically made for better fishes and tetras and any sort of smaller fishes. And honestly, these are like the worm-shaped foods. I do feed the bigger version to my neon tetras and flame tetras in the Amazon tank, and they love it as much as the better fish does. The better fish eats about 8 pellets. You don't want to overfeed them, as with their small mouths and their small stomachs, they won't be able to intake as much food as a neon tetra would. They do spit food out, and if you are noticing that recently, I did when I first got my better fish, I did feed it the granular food. It spat it out straight away. Put it on a different food and it will come back. So I did try the granular food a few days ago, and it came back perfectly. But to keep the colour going as well, I also give it Hikari's Better Bio Gold. This obviously just improves the quality of the colours and really keeps the colours there on the better fish. So honestly, overall, this aquarium has been stunning and beautiful to look at. Now, if you do want to see the full build on my YouTube channel, there is a playlist called the Mekong River, and it has the full scape from when I took down the old aquarium and then building this brand new aquarium from... It's been 2 months since setting up the Mekong Riverscape, and I'm really happy with the results that the 2 months has brought. So I'm going to be giving you your August monthly update, starting off with the fish. The better fish has settled in really well. He has got a bit of an attitude to him, as you can see on his face, but he has got a bit of an attitude, so I'm not going to be getting any sort of other fish or anything, because it is kind of sort of dangerous. You don't want to be putting fish's lives at risk. If you are going to put them in, they could die between one day, maybe a few days. They may seem fine at first, but you never know what could happen. They could sort of just change their mood really easily. The plants, they're doing really well. The sturgeon repens is growing absolutely incredibly. The better fish does like to sort of hide himself in between that. The Limnophilia sissiflora is growing really nicely, especially this one here. That's just growing really nicely. The reason why they're all sort of facing towards us is because they grow towards the light. So they're just starting to grow upwards now. They're just starting to move into that sort of upwards position to grow towards the aquarium light. And the Christmas moss is growing really well. This one has sort of came unattached, but has sort of made a little hole in between both of these two Christmas mosses. But it really does give it that sort of authentic look and really nice look to a sort of natural riverscape aquarium. But obviously, I was talking about feeding this betta fish. Betta fishes are very fussy eaters. I tried him off with granular food that I feed my Amazon tank, and he didn't like that. Then I tried him again and he did like that. Then he didn't like it. So I give him a mixture of flake, the worm food, and also Hikari's bio balls for betta fishes, which just keeps their really nice colours. So obviously just make sure you are giving them a varied diet, and they should sort of be over it, and sort of giving them that varied diet will really sort of obviously bring out their natural instincts, but not only that, bring out their colours and give them a more happy and healthy life. Try frozen foods, maybe live foods when live foods are in season. That's sort of around this time now. Try flake, try granular, try different betta fishes foods. Just try everything that you can really get your hands on. And if they don't like it, then it just shows that you don't use it again and just stick with the normal stuff. I give him one day flake, one day worm, and then one day his bio balls for obviously Pacific food for betta fishes. And he's been doing really well. And those. Hello guys, and welcome back to Aquatic Life and Theme Parks. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you a monthly update on the Mekong River. Now, it is September, and it's been about 3 months, or 3 to 2 months, of setting this aquarium up, and it is doing incredibly well. If you are new to these monthly updates, I will be giving you obviously how the fish has been doing over the last month, how the tank has been doing over the last month, and any sort of problems that has occurred. So let's start off with the fish. Now, the betta fish is doing incredibly well in this aquarium. He is just really well. There's no sort of health concerns. There's not any sort of damage to the fins. He's got a good body shape on him and a good body size. So he's obviously getting all those foods and nutrients. Now, he is just resting upon this Limnophilia here, but he's doing really well. The colour is really showing as well. So I'm really happy with the betta fish's health. The Limnophilia sissiflora, that is not growing properly. There is a lot of greenery, of course, but previously, if you go back to the July and August monthly updates, you will see that there is a lot more sort of a jungle vibe back there. The Christmas moss is doing incredibly well. It's really made it look like the aquarium has been sitting here for ages. It's grown in really nicely, and it's given the effect that I want a lot. The sturgeon repens, that's doing okay. It's gone a bit brown for some reason right now. I'm not too sure why. It was growing perfectly fine last month. Now it's just starting to go a little bit brown, so I might give it a trim and see how it's doing. But overall, this aquarium has been really nice to look at. Obviously, as I said, the betta fish has had no sort of health concerns or illnesses that I've noticed, which is really good. The temperature is fine, and there's been really no problems with this aquarium since setting it up 2 to 3 months ago. So I'm really happy with this, and it's a really peaceful tank to look at. So with the Amazon tank, but this one also adds just a little bit of charm and a little bit of peacefulness to obviously the environment that it's in. So stay tuned for more theme park news coming up very soon. Obviously D23 did just pass, so I will be getting a video out on that in a few weeks' time. Make sure you go and check out the Amazon Tank 2025 September monthly update if you haven't already. And much more will be coming very soon on theme park news as well. So stay aquatic, everyone, and I'll see you in the next October monthly update if you haven't already done so. So if you are new to these monthly updates, I'm going to be giving you an update on the fish's care and health, and any sort of general changes that I've made over September. So let's start off with the fish's care and health. So before we continue, the fish is completely fine. He's just resting on a bit of Christmas moss. Now, the fish is doing excellently well in this aquarium, and his colours really do pop in on that black background. Obviously, with his blues and little bits of red, it really does look really nice. The plants, the Christmas moss is doing incredibly well. I've wanted it to make it look like this from day one when I set up this tank, and I said it when I was building it. I wanted to make sure that it looked like it's been sitting there, this scape has been sitting in a river for ages, and I'm really happy with the results. The sturgeon repens has sadly started to wilt. I'm wondering that's just because, obviously, I've changed some lighting intensities around to stop algae, so I do wonder if that's why. And the Limnophilia sissiflora has sadly just melted off its roots. There is only 1 or 2 stems back there now that is actually growing, so I'm hoping to get some more if obviously Aqua Essential do produce some over in the colder months. I am hoping to get some more obviously throughout October. But that is obviously everything that has sort of happened in the Mekong River tank. No deoxygenation, luckily, like the Amazon tank. The oxygen is perfectly fine. The betta fish is doing perfectly fine in this aquarium. He's obviously in a bit of a weird position right now. He's just resting on the heater while staring at himself in his own reflection. But obviously, he is doing really, really well. The colours really do pop under this light, and he is loving life in this aquarium. Obviously, he has a good size in him. I don't know how well you can see, but he's really doing amazingly well in this aquarium. In terms of the plants, the Christmas moss is the only plant that is actually surviving in this aquarium right now, as the sturgeon repens and the Limnophilia sissiflora did melt off its roots. The sturgeon repens stem is still here, just with no leaves, and the Limnophilia sissiflora, which is supposed to be a really nice plant and makes it that jungle vibe, has not made it, sadly. So I will be buying new plants like I done for the Amazon tank, and that is obviously that the same reason that what happened to the Amazon tank happened to this tank as well. They just died out of nowhere. So I will be getting some brand new plants hopefully very, very soon. But that is all that's really happened over